Can we go to the other thing I think that we should talk about? Texas governor.
Oh, number 10?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I'll be honest with you. You know my original reaction, but after what Jack said, I think he's right.
What was that?
Which was, does it really matter?
Does it matter?
If you have X on your passport.
Oh, well, I think that's different. So that Governor Abbott, he signed into the law or whatever, the executive order, to ban transgender women from competing in female sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said. So I don't see a problem with this.
If I was still competing today, I would totally agree with you. Because it's not to do with it's to do with the hormones.
You know, hormones don't affect you or muscle development. You guys know that?
Well,
but it perfects your performance.
Well, here's the thing for me. It's not even about hormones for me. Having some of these guys, let's say you live your life for 17 years as a young man, and you do what young men do. You're ultimately, as a male, you're going to be stronger than a female, period. And I think that gives an unfair advantage if now you want to be or compete against the females.
So in that case, then what about the people who were born males at the age of 2 and then flipped female at the age of 2 and then grew up? Because now they can't participate as a female in that sport, right?
Well, the how often does that happen? Because I don't even know any
circumstances. That happens more frequently than the what you're talking about. And also, do you know how many D1 or I don't know if it's D1 specifically or just college grants that have been given out to trans athletes? You know
I'm sure there's been none.
0.
Because it's not I don't know.
Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything.
Well, I don't think that it doesn't change anything. You take a group of men, a group of women. So you're telling me that men aren't stronger naturally?
They are, but I'm saying those types of people that you're talking about you can see when they're in the sport. You know what I mean? When he writes laws like this, I don't think it's affecting those people you're talking about who are like obviously like me and then just go start playing women's sports. Those people, this is affecting like people like I'm talking about who from the age of 2 they come out, they're actually transgender, where like it might be a dude born with like a pair of breasts.
Right. Okay.
And so then they have to either choose, which one do you want to play? So I mean, regardless of all this, like, does this dude not have other better things to be worrying about?
Of course.
I agree with that what he just said. I mean, there's more important things to worry about.
I don't disagree with that at all. But I don't have a problem. I know for one, the girl from Russia, whoever it was, that was doing the weightlifting competition, and she was going against naturally born women, but she was born a man.
Well,
I don't know.
Let me just throw something at this, which is a little bit of a sidestep, but at the same time, it sort of comes into it. In the 80s, when, we was competing, the Russians would delay
the menstrual cycles.
The
small ones, yeah.
Right, to keep the girls small so their power to weight ratio was actually higher than when they go and start putting boobies on and everything else.
Right.
And that's why the pair skaters at that time, the guys were like, huge guys, strong guys, and,
the girls
especially the pairs. I mean,
right.
And these girls were getting thrown all over the place and, nearly into the audience. And that in itself, I mean, was, something he was doing. I mean, some of them girls didn't start menstruating 19 years old, 21 years. So that was happening then to a certain degree, but I'll be honest with you, I don't really know and understand enough about, the whole transgender thing. But the problem is there's so many angles that come into it.
There are, and I too, and
I think a lot of people, perhaps, I mean, there were some things that Jack just said that I didn't even realize, to be perfectly honest.
Well, yeah, that's kind of why I don't like to talk about transgender things myself personally, because I don't understand a lot of it. There's a lot of information that I don't know. So I don't want to say stuff. Like, for example, that athlete thing I just said, that was told to me. I've never fact-checked it, but it was told to me from, like, a source that I trust a lot. Now, he could be wrong, right?
Right.
But
I haven't heard of no trans athletes scholarships.
Exactly, and I've never heard of it either. And so that's
it'd be interesting. Does anybody on the channel has any comments on that? That'd be interesting to sort of...
Yeah.
But like, I guess a different perspective I want to take to this is I actually think that, like, the NBA should allow women in. Like say there's a girl who can cross up LeBron James. Why shouldn't she be allowed in the NBA?
Because it's a men's league.
But like why is it only men? Like I'm saying it should be, if it's the best league, it should be the best league for everybody. Now, women shouldn't get an easy get in just to get in there, right? But if it really is the best basketball league, I don't see a problem with women going in there and dunking on some dudes.
Do you think there's a woman that can compete now on Earth with LeBron James?
I mean, LeBron, but that's like taking LeBron James now. If you say like Jimmy Butler,
okay,
or someone,
or Alex Caruso.
Yeah, I mean, even then, like I'm sure there's someone out there who can put some points up on them.
Well,
just one woman.
I'm not saying that they can't.
Yeah.
I feel like a men's league should be a men's league. That's my stance in it. I know there are women that are good.
That's how I feel.
But quite frankly, I don't think they belong in the men's league. It's just not fair.
And a lot depends on the sport as well. I mean, how would it be having heavyweight boxing champion of the world
against a woman?
You know, Mike Tyson against Muhammad Ali's daughter.
Well, putting her head down.
Right, but if the woman thinks she can take him on, then
he should pound her head.
Like, I mean, yeah, like if a girl tells me, hey, I can beat your ass, and I'm like, no, I don't think you can, and then she's like, let's fight. Like, you're consenting to me fighting. I'm not.
Yeah, but I wouldn't feel good about it.
So
I wouldn't.
I don't disagree with you because, quite frankly, I'm not of the mindset. Well, there's always you don't beat up a woman just going out and picking up a woman, right? But if a woman puts herself in a position to fight a man, then she's subject to whatever comes to her. Prime example. Now listen, Fallon Fox. Okay, Fallon Fox is a transgender woman that was a UFC fighter. She got in the ring and fought women. There was one fight, it was a black lady, I can't remember her name, but this Fallon Fox beat the entire brakes off of this woman, and it was obvious. They didn't stop the fight, they didn't call it at all. But the lady, she kind of hung in there as long as she could, but it was obvious that she was more aggressive. She was going in as, a fighter, and boom. Now, everybody knew that she was transgender, that she used to be a man, or was born a man, shall I say, and transitioned, but it was just, to your point, it was like, it was hard to watch, knowing that she's stronger than her naturally, and she's pounding this lady's head in, and it was like, man, that's not...
to me, that's not sport.
It isn't. It isn't. But, again...
But saying that, I've never really been into the boxing thing, so...
Got you.
That sort of, perhaps that's not fair for me to...
Well, I mean, you can have an opinion about it, but it's just... I didn't think it was fair.
But to me, it's not sport.
I didn't think it was fair to watch her fight this woman. And a lot of people had a big issue with it, too. They say, hey, you shouldn't be in the ring fighting, a natural-born woman, blah, 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 so on and so forth.
Yeah. But to go back to the point, like the reality of it is, not very many women would make it to the NBA because obviously all those dudes would outperform them.
Right.
But I'm saying there has to be at least one girl out there who I think could make it in the NBA and be, I don't even know if I'd say starting. I would say starting just to be hopeful.
Controversial, right?
Yeah, who could start in the NBA on some team.
I don't think there's one woman on earth that can start in the NBA. You heard it here.
Hey, yeah.
That's my stance. So
whoever you are listening, you got to shut James up now.
Shut me up. Shut me up. Come on out here and play.
You got to duck on LeBron for us.
No, I've got sort of mixed feelings at it, but I don't think that's... When he gets to that level with, the female boxer, I think it's a little
much.
I mean, that woman who fought her accepted the fight.
She
accepted
did.
the contract. So it's not like she just showed up and it's like, oh, it's a trans dude.
Now, funny thing is, if you look on the Fallon's record, she did lose one fight by a knockout. So a woman knocked her out. I don't know who it was, but a woman did beat Fallon Fox. So And it was by knockout, not by submission or anything. It was just straight catch these hands, beat down. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and I guess it's important to note here too. She recalls it says struggling with her gender as early as 5 or 6. It doesn't say when she.
I think she transitioned like 19, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Do you think that proves your point though, with what you just said with this lady?
What point? What do you mean?
In relation to perhaps it shouldn't be happening. It's sort of an unfair advantage.
I think it is an unfair advantage. Yeah, I do think it's an unfair advantage. Speaking of unfair advantage,